In 2008, the Canadian government of the day launched a comprehensive study of the tax and regulatory burden faced by Canadian business. According to the authors of the report,
administrative tasks and excessive paperwork burden remain a long-standing distraction for business owners. Taking a broader view, the problem of excessive paperwork can lead to reduced business startups, trade and investment barriers, and an overall decline in economic productivity by making it relatively more expensive for Canadian businesses to operate. The study provided a breakdown of costs in the 2005 reference year. They then measured the costs 3 years later, at the conclusion of the study.
Sadly, they found that costs actually increased significantly during the 3-year term of the study.
In Figure 7 we see that costs per employee are much higher for our smallest businesses. During the 3-year study period between 2005 and 2008, costs increased by between 5 and 25%. Except for our largest businesses. For businesses with 100 or more employees, costs went down by about 13%.
This result underlines our policymakers' bias in favor of larger businesses. Unlike policymakers, business schools, and many professionals, SBA Canada understands that small business is very important and accounts for about 76% of private sector employment.
In Table 6 from the study, we see that income tax filing is the most commonly outsourced service by businesses of all sizes. This is followed by the preparation and remittance of regular monthly payroll deductions. The tendency to outsource these services actually increases as companies get bigger.
Income tax preparation and filing is very complex. It represents an almost impossible challenge for anyone not trained and experienced in Canadian taxation. In the next slide, we'll visit Canada's Department of Justice website to get a sense of the extent of the challenge. For the moment, though, it's important to understand that Canada's businesses overwhelmingly outsource income tax work, and that the tendency increases as companies grow.
Outsourcing payroll compliance is the second most outsourced service for businesses of all sizes. Like income tax, the tendency to outsource payroll increases as companies grow. However, payroll is not as technically challenging as income tax, and payroll support work is typically outsourced to specialist payroll firms. Professional accountants rarely provide monthly payroll services, although they often prepare and file annual T4 and payroll summaries for small businesses.
Canada's Department of Justice maintains a website which allows anyone to access legislation. The 19 most frequently accessed acts are listed, along with their size in kilobytes. If you were to add the number of kilobytes of each, the Income Tax Act itself accounts for fully 45% of the total. This gives you some sense of the relative complexity. Consider also that each province has its own separate Income Tax Act, and the technical challenge becomes apparent. When I worked in the tax department with one of Canada's largest accounting firms, we had a great many specialist groups within the tax department. These were broken down further by industry. We had specialists in mining, for example, as well as the technology sector. In Canada, businesses are overwhelmingly very small. Depending on how you define small business, there could be 3.8 million small businesses in Canada, averaging just 2.8 workers per business. Or you could say there are about 2.6 million self-employed workers and 1.2 million small employer businesses averaging just 7 workers each. No matter how you slice it or define it, most Canadian businesses are very small. In spite of this, they are very important. Together, they account for 76% of all private sector employment.
Many policymakers don't take small business seriously. Statistics Canada refers disparagingly to what they call micro-businesses with fewer than 5 employees. This is pretty hard to understand, particularly since there are only about 25,000 businesses with 100 or more workers, and together they employ less than a quarter of all private sector workers.
At SBA Canada, we know the size of a business is a key determinant of its compliance needs, and the availability of staff resources to meet those needs. Like the Big Four firms that predominantly serve large and mid-sized clients, we know the importance of specialization.
The best place to learn accounting, and what we call the accounting algorithm, is working for a small public accounting firm. Working as an entry-level accountant in a firm that provides outsourced accounting services to small businesses ensures that technicians learn the entire accounting cycle, which is remarkably similar for all businesses. After 2 years, technicians are ready to specialize. They can move to industry and perform a management accounting role in collaboration with the company's controller or public accountant. They can remain in public accounting and specialize in income tax, or work as a junior in corporate finance. SBA Canada developed the Business Analyst Technician Program to ensure that accounting technicians get the appropriate experience and become job-ready in a reasonable amount of time, without amassing huge student loans.
According to a study published in 2021 by the Canadian Federation of Independent Business, the annual cost of professional fees, primarily accounting and tax preparation, for micro-businesses is more than $2,000 per employee. At the Small Business Analysts Society of Canada, we developed a set of 2 free self-study courses designed for adult learners interested in learning how to compile a year's worth of bank and credit card transactions for a small business in Canada. You'll be provided with all the software tools you need to assemble a working paper file supporting a set of draft financial statements. The courses won't prepare you for a career as a tax professional, but may just start you on the path to becoming an accounting technician working for a small business, an independent bookkeeper working with your own clients, or a technician working with a small public accounting firm. The best way to learn how to do anything is to just do it. Our Accounting 100 and Accounting 200 courses are a great way to get a start in an occupation that's one of Canada's largest. We can usually provide students with live client data and a tutor to guide them through the process. The cost of tutoring is paid for by the business whose file you're working on. If you find you like the work, there are 3 more self-study courses that, together with Accounting 100 and Accounting 200, make up the Business Analyst Technician Program.